Now let's talk about the bad. So just like we looked at the business leaders of today from the good side, let's look at some of the kind of cons. Certainly cost over a long term is important. So not just the upfront, but the longer term costs. Also flexibility. As organizations are changing and growing, there's a lot of flexibility that's needed when you're wearing those multiple hats or integrating with other systems. That's really key. And certainly, too, if you had existing infrastructure or assets that you wanted to leverage, there could be some cons as you look at going to the cloud. So let's talk about these. The higher long-term cost. Because of the subscription, that the software cost reoccurs every year. So generally, at year 2.5, you'll see is your break-even point as it relates to the software subscription as it relates to the cloud or on-premise. So that's one number to kind of monitor. Now, the proponents of the cloud will say, well, because you're getting so much more with the cloud provider in terms of the infrastructure, and you're saving on costs outside of software for your IT and your infrastructure, they'll say, long term the cloud is cheaper. But we've done some analysis, and that doesn't always tend to be true. Again, it's really more related to the organization, and that's an analysis you'll want to do to look at your total cost of ownership and how the subscription might impact your dollars more long term. Also, if your organization is highly custom, we see this with businesses that have developed their own software for, I'll call it the front end or the sales process. Building integrations with the cloud in a true custom environment may be more restrictive, especially as you're looking at multi-tenant cloud, because it's like an apartment building. If you needed to knock out a wall, you're going to affect your neighbor in multi-tenant cloud. And so if you have some customizations or some unique needs, going to the cloud or a true SaaS multi-tenant cloud might not be the best model. Also, too, you have to have an internet connection to get to the cloud. And I've actually worked with a number of prospects, believe it or not, who are more recently, who are in Arizona, Utah, and there isn't a reliable internet or mobile connection. And so a cloud-based system might not work for a field service technician who can't access the network. So some of the more on-premise legacy solutions will store data on a workstation or a mobile device and allow you to resync once you get reconnected. So if your organization is in more remote areas, also like we have a company that works in Thailand, they're headquartered here in the States, but they do some manufacturing in Thailand. Yes, there's internet connection, but it's not very reliable, and you would be amazed at how often it goes in and out. So that's also something to consider if your organization is in multiple regions that don't have as reliable internet connection. Certainly, single sign-on is easier in kind of one world, one network, and so that's also a component to consider from an IT administrative perspective. And if you are married to any old technology that you can't get rid of, maybe it's a custom system that's on-premise, it might be harder to build an integration, kind of as I mentioned, to the cloud.